I gotta start off by saying, like, this episode was beautiful. Just that scene before the opening, like, cinematic was amazing. Like, the counterforce effect was just perfect. This episode was utterly amazing, and I'm gonna get straight into this. This is my review of episode 19 of Fate Stay Night. I can't remember the title of the episode. It was called Idolism Ends, The Answer. And in this episode, it's 100% confirmed in this that Archer is Emiya's, like, it's basically Emiya in the future. We basically get to see what happened to Archer and how he became the heroic spirit that he is. So basically when... This is going to get a little bit confusing to explain. So when Shirou dies, as he was dying, the counterforce showed itself to him, and he basically gave his afterlife up to become a guardian of humanity. So what this entailed was basically Archer kept getting pulled back into the world to basically kill people who were doing wrongdoings. By therefore killing these people, he was then saving humanity. He was a bit like... think of it as like cutting off the head of the snake. So you take out the main bad guy, everyone else is saved. It's that sort of ideal. And the reason why Shirou agreed to do this, because as we've seen all throughout this series, Shirou's main ideal is he wants to be a hero and he wants to save other people. He puts other people above himself. So as such, that's why Archer agreed to that, because obviously the ideal was the same. But by Archer agreeing to do this, over time, him getting pulled back into the world, doing these deeds, killing all these people over and over and over again, he realized that he wasn't really accomplishing anything, and because of that he started regretting his choice. And the main reason why he wants to kill Shirou is because he thinks by killing Shirou he's also going to kill the spirit, so therefore there's a chance that he'll no longer be himself, like he'll disappear. But to me, even Saber brings up this point, that makes no sense, because when you become a heroic spirit, or in his case a guardian, because it's slightly different because he gave up his afterlife, he wasn't chasing something, if you give up that, you're taken out of the timeline and put in a completely separate area where the Grail then pulls you from. So even if he went back and killed himself and his ideal, which I'm going to get into in a minute, he'd still be there because his entity, his heroic spirit, is no longer in that timeline. For me, I think he should have stayed in the war, tried to get the Greater Grail, and then used his wish to pull himself back out, which is sort of like what Saber wants to do. Now, to go back on that point a little bit, I don't feel like his ideal and Shirou's ideals are the same, and I think this boils down to a couple of points, and it's sort of hinted at in the preview for next week's episode as well. You see that Shirou basically says a line. It's not "I want to be," I think it says "I'm not wanting to be, I will be." It's something along those lines, and I think that's him talking about himself wanting to be a hero. He doesn't want to be a hero, he knows he's going to be a hero. So because of that, maybe their ideals are slightly different because of maybe some other factors that happened in the timeline which we're not seeing. But basically, seeing that was amazing, and just seeing the counterforce at the beginning was gorgeous. What I liked was what happened to Lancer in this episode. Lancer's look rating must be the most disgusting thing ever. He does not have the look of the Irish, and I cannot believe that Kotomine killed him, because if you guys know anything about Fate Zero, and this is a minor Fate Zero spoiler, Lancer is basically told to kill himself in Fate Zero as well, and I just found it utterly soul-destroying to see that happen again, because Lancer's just so damn prideful, and his master basically just told him to kill himself, and he's so prideful he'd never leave his master. He should have just, like, it's just heartbreaking to see it, but I love how it relates back to Fate Zero. And what I liked as well was the flashback we got of Rin's past, and with the whole Kotomine, like, basically being the one that killed Rin's father, which it hasn't really gone into it much in this series. It's nice that it's now hinted at, because I feel like when they do the Heaven's Feel movie, we're gonna get a bit more information on that. Won't be talking about that right now because that's spoilers for Heaven's Feels, I bet, because I feel like this is as much as we're gonna get. But I like how they showed the dagger, but they haven't really given any emphasis on the dagger in the relationship between Kotomine and Rin, which I thought was hopefully they'll pull that up in next week. But very, very interesting, because I like how when the whole conversation was going down and Kotomine used the was about to use the command seal to basically what seemed like to get Lancer to kill Rin, because that's the impression I got. I just liked the way it was completely swapped around straight away for him to kill himself, and he was like the vessel, so he was basically saying he was a useless vessel. He didn't need him anymore, because obviously he's working with the other archer, because we've seen that he's working with Shinji, and he basically introduced Gilgamesh, the yellow-haired dude, to Shinji. So very, very interesting to see that. We had a lot of deep talk about idolatry. I can't even speak. Idolism, we'll say that. But internal, like, just the conversation between like Saber and Emiya in himself, because that's just it's just so damn good. This episode was amazing, and I cannot wait to see the fight that's going to happen next week, because we're basically having these two people pair off. Shirou, as in this real world Shirou, not Archer, he's going to get a huge power up in this, because I feel like he's going to now activate all the latent ability inside himself, because he knows he can become this amazing person that is Archer, which is in front of him. I feel like in his mind, and from the little preview we got at the end, he now knows that his ideals are different to Archer's, even if it's ever so slightly. So because of that, the fact that he knows that he could get to the power of him, I feel like he'll go higher than that now, because Archer is basically just the benchmark for him. So I feel like he's going to absolutely, maybe not destroy him, it's going to be a close bout, but it's going to be very interesting to see. I don't know what the hell is going to happen to Rin. Do not know what's going to happen to Rin. I can't even speculate. I feel like Emiya will win. Saber will probably feel that something's happening to Rin, and because of that, once that fight's end, they'll rush over there, but obviously Emiya's going to be like injured, so it'll take them a little while to get over there, and then that's when they'll see like Kotomine, Rin, Shinji escaping, and that'll be they'll use that as the bait for them to then go and fight Archer. I say Archer, I mean like Gilgamesh and what's his face, Kotomine. I feel like Rin's just gonna get kidnapped again. She's basically just like a playing card that's being passed around. But overall, I thought this episode was fucking amazing. It was like the perfect setup. It gave us all the backstory and information that we need so far, and I cannot wait to see how this is going to progress now, because we're getting into the final fights here now, and this is going to be absolutely mental. I can't wait to see what happens. Let me know in the comments below on what you thought. I'd give this episode a solid 10 out of 10. That's how much I enjoyed it, just because it's tied almost all the loose ends together from this series. There's a little bit more we could find out, but I feel like that's going to come later, but won't get into too much. Let me know in the comments below on what you thought was the best part about this episode, because there's just so much information we've been given. And be sure to subscribe if you are sticking around for more Fate Stay Night reviews. I shall be reviewing episode 20 next week. I've been Harry. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that great stuff, and I shall see you soon. Goodbye.